So I think that if you want to hide a dead body, the second page of Google is a great place for that, but it's not a good place to try to find clients like me. I am a 34-year-old, and if I want something, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do my research on it, and that involves being online. What's up, hard chargers, and welcome back to another episode of Hodgepodgepreneur. You came back. I knew you would come back. You said you're going to go watch other videos. I said I'll be right here. You came back. So thanks for coming back. Thanks for tuning in again. If this is your first time tuning in, just know that you came in at an exciting time, because this is part 2 of a 4-part series on how to make an actionable business plan. If you missed episode 1, it should be popping around somewhere over here or over there, and you can go and watch part 1. We basically talked about some pointers on how to name your business, the legal setup of your business, registering with the Secretary of State, getting that EIN number, defining your target audience, all those exciting things that come along with a business plan, but they are foundational. And so make sure you click on that video and go and check that out. And then also down below, as in that video and in this one, there is a free business plan template for you to keep, and that is something that I am using as a guide to go through on all these videos. So make sure you download that so you can follow along and fill that out. And I said this in the first video, and I'll say it again. There are 3 business plans that are out there, and you won't find this in a textbook. This is just my opinion. One of the business plans is you're trying to convince somebody to give you money, whether that's a bank or an investor. The other business plan is you're trying to convince somebody to become a partner with you in a business and invest something like sweat equity, as well as money maybe, but mostly to get them to ditch whatever they're doing and come and devote a lot of time and effort to you. And then the third one is what I'm doing right here, and that is an actionable business plan. And so the other two, the difference is that the other two is you're trying to convince other people to come and join you on the journey. And with mine, what I'm saying is that it's enough with the talk, let's get down to action. And so at the end of watching this 4-part series, you should have a business plan that is ready to get you started in day 1 all the way through the first year of being in business. So without further ado, let's get started and get into section 2, which is marketing. So marketing was not something that came natural to me. It wasn't something that I knew anything about. My experience prior to starting a business was I was in the military for 9 years, and out of all of my training, nothing prepared me for marketing and trying to know how to market to people and what marketing strategies would look like. But marketing is the heartbeat of growth, especially in your first year. You may have a great product, you may have a great service, but does anybody know that it's out there? And marketing is how you let them know that it's out there. And so the first part of marketing is actually defining in a granular way your target audience. So in the first part, people may recall, I said, hey, let's talk about the target audience, but I said, let's keep it to 1 or 2 sentences. And I gave an example of how in my business in South Carolina, we managed rental properties, and my target audience was one of 3 people. It was a DIY landlord who had been doing it themselves. It was a reluctant landlord who inherited a property or couldn't sell their property, so they had to rent it out. Or it was investors who intentionally went out and bought up rental properties. So that was my target audience. But you have to get more granular than that. So we're going to get granular with this one, and we're actually going to talk about all the things that make up your ideal client. So I'll give you an example. If you were going to sell insurance, you may say, you know what, I want somebody who has a lot of assets, because people who have a lot of assets have a lot to lose. And if they have a lot to lose, they want to protect those things, and they have a lot of things to protect. So that means I'm going to get a large premium, which means I get a bigger commission. So I'm going after the older folks who have some education background, a job that pays over $75K a year, and live in a certain zip code, because that zip code has great demographics for high income, right? Or you could say, well, you know what? I'm going to sell to the 20-year-old who is in college right now and who doesn't have anything to insure, because as they get older, they will, if they're in college right now, hopefully they're going to get a job. Hopefully they're going to make money at that job. Hopefully they're going to continue to progress through the ranks at that job. And one day they will be that big client you're going after. But the difference is that I have a relationship with this person from the time that nobody cared about them to the time that everybody's after them. And so hopefully that loyalty will make them stick with me, and it is a book of business that I can grow with. So there's an example of where age and location and educational level, all of those things played into what the target audience was for one salesperson versus another salesperson. So that's an example of getting granular with clients. Now, the other one is business to business. So if you're going to sell to a business, and all of this is in the template, if you're going to sell to a business, you want to consider, where is this business in its lifetime? Is it a startup? Because then they're going to have different needs than somebody who is a more mature business. Somebody who's second or third generation is going to need something more than somebody who has started up from scratch and is already at a level of high sales, high volume, high revenue. So you have to determine where is the business at in its life cycle that you would fit in, because that would make up your ideal client, right? So that's what it is. We're defining the target audience at a granular level. Now, the reason that's important is because of the next part of this section, and that is, what type of method are you going to use to get a hold of these folks? So if you're going to sell something to me and you're going to post it in the newspaper, you'll never find me. You'll find my grandma, you'll find my aunt, my great aunt, but you won't find me. If I am searching for something online, you won't find me if you are on the second page of Google. I think that if you want to hide a dead body, the second page of Google is a great place for that, but it's not a good place to try to find clients like me. I am a 34-year-old, and if I want something, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do my research on it, and that involves being online. So to get to me, you would want to have some type of online presence. Now the question is, what type of online presence? Is it going to be social media? And if so, which platform? Is it going to be Facebook? Is it going to be Twitter? Is it going to be YouTube? And all of those different platforms come with a breakdown of demographics of like who their largest audiences are. So YouTube, for example, and I don't know this to be a fact, but maybe YouTube, for example, has a large subscription base from people of ages 6 to 55. But not people over 55. Maybe there's people on there over 55, but it's not a large base of their users. And so that would mean that if you're marketing to folks over the age of 55, YouTube may not be the most ideal spot for it. Same way that a newspaper wouldn't be the most ideal spot to get a hold of me as a 34-year-old. So all of those things go into who your target client is, and that defines what type of method you're going to use to reach them. And in this, that's what you'll do. You will list what your target audience looks like, and then that will drive what method you use. The part I see people mess up on most right here is they try to inject themselves into the opinion of what they should use. If you are 65 and you don't believe in the internet and you're starting a business, and so you don't think that you need to be online, but the people you're selling to are in their 20s and 30s, I would say that you have injected yourself and you have now hindered the ability to reach the audience that you're after. So the big tip right there is, don't inject your own opinion right here. Owning a business is all about other people. It's all about the consumer and what they want and where they're at. So if you're not good at Facebook and that's where your target audience is at, get good at Facebook. If you're not good at YouTube and that's where your audience is at, get good at YouTube. Let that drive you. The next one is, you want to start thinking about leads. So you've talked about what the target audience looks like. You talked about where it is that you would find them at. Now, how many leads do you think you can generate doing the different marketing strategies that you're going to implement? And the number of leads you generate is important, because out of the number of leads you generate, now you need to think about how many of those leads will actually convert. So if you're going to get 10 people to give you their information, how many out of those 10 people will you actually get money from? That's what convert means. How many of these people are actually going to pay you money? Because that really matters. It doesn't matter if you get 1 million followers on Facebook if you didn't get any sales or if you didn't generate any revenue, right? So leads and impressions and all of that stuff, people will try to hit you up with that when you first start up and say, I can get you so many leads or so many impressions, and they'll make it sound like it's top of the mind marketing. You want to be there when the person's trying to decide. Let me tell you this, no matter how many impressions you get, no matter how many likes you get, if those people don't convert and spend money with you, you didn't have any money come back for the money you sent out. So it is important to list the number of leads you think you would get off of that, the number of those leads that will convert and send money to you, or spend money with you, and then out of that, how much revenue will you generate? So if there are 10 leads that you get, and out of that 5 leads convert, and each lead's worth $100, and that means you're going to make $500 for every 10 leads you generate. And the reason that's important is because if it cost you $200 to generate 10 leads, and you only converted 5 of those, and you only made $100 off of it, you're actually $100 in the hole. So you may not want to continue on with that marketing method the whole time. So that's why it's important to list these things out. That's why it's important to track those. Once you list those out, track those, see if it was what you were expecting. How much did it cost you to get each of those leads, and how much revenue did each of those leads generate? So this is just a starting point, but this is something you want to look at after you actually implement it to see if your assumptions were correct. And then it's up to you to work on bettering your closing ratio, and it's up to you to work on mixing up your marketing. And what I mean by that is there's not just one marketing method that you would try, and that would be the silver bullet. Hardly ever is that the case. There may be one marketing method that provides you a lot of your leads, but it may not be the only marketing method. And sometimes it's other marketing avenues that lead people to the marketing method that actually wins them over. So picture this. Somebody's driving down the road and they see an advertisement from you on a billboard, and that reminds them that they need to buy the product that you're selling or the service that you're offering. They've been meaning to, and they saw that and they said, you know what, I need to do that. When they get home, they completely forget who it was that they saw on the billboard. They just remembered that they needed to get that product or service. So they hop on their cell phone or they hop on their computer and they Google that service or product that it is they want to buy. And then at the top, you just so happen to pop up because you're running a Google pay-per-click ad or a Google paid ad. And so you're at the top of the search result because you're paying to be there. And so then they click it, not even realizing that you're part of the billboard that they saw earlier. And then whenever they click that, they go to your website, they give you their contact information, you call them up and you make the sale. What really got them? Was it the billboard or was it the Google ad? Right? And so that's why you need to cast a wide web so that you can try to drive traffic to you in multiple ways. So there's section 2 of marketing, and don't forget we have 2 more sections coming up. That is going to be the finance section, and that is going to be the competitor analysis section. So you don't want to miss those. We're going to dive into those, and again, we'll try to keep these videos under 15 minutes so that way you guys can get the most information as possible in the shortest amount of time. And also don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell. Every time you hit the bell, my kids get to eat, so you don't want my kids not to eat, right? So hit that bell. Hit that bell. And we'll see you on the next episode of Hodgepodgepreneur. Keep charging hard, hard chargers.